Previously on Out West.
Hey, good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. So on the last video, if you didn't watch that, go check that out. I'll put that in the screen, one of these corners over here. We did Argentine Pass. We didn't do all of the pass, all of that trail, but we did a majority of it. So you have to check that out. So once we left there, we headed back down the mountain into Georgetown and then back over across 70 to Loveland Pass. Once we took Loveland Pass to the very top, you're at the Continental Divide. It's like 11 something thousand feet. If you're not familiar with what the Continental Divide is, I know some people have probably heard of it but just don't know what it is. Basically what it means is everything on the east side of the Continental Divide, all the water runs to the east towards the Mississippi, towards the Atlantic and the Gulf. On the west side, all the water runs towards the Pacific Ocean. So essentially that's what it is. And the Continental Divide, it runs along the top of a mountain range. So anyhow, we took Loveland Pass to the top and came back down. Once we got back down, we went into the Keystone ski resort, went right past that, which was pretty neat because we went skiing there this past January. And we ended up taking this trail called Peru Creek Trail, and we passed, I don't know, 2 or 3 different campsites before we found this one. I think there's like 30 something campsites off of this trail. But the first few didn't look very good for us, but this one turned out to be really great. So we already had a nice little fire pit here, pretty decently flat. It's not perfectly flat by any means, but good enough for what we were doing. It was dark by the time we were rolling in, so we were just trying to get some sleep. What's even cooler is just down from our campsite, within, I don't know, 200 feet maybe, there's a Peru Creek, and I tell you, it's got to be from all the snow-fed, or it's got to be snow-fed snow melt that is making this creek just super clear. It looks like glacier water. It's really pretty. It's beautiful. So yeah, we're just camping here along this creek. It made it really easy for us to sleep last night. It did get pretty chilly, so we're at 10,192 feet in elevation right now, right on the back side of Argentine Pass, which would be McClellan Mountain, and it got down to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. It got chilly, but in the tent I was plenty warm. I never got cold. Did you get cold?
No, I was starting to sweat.
We have she uses a couple fluffy blankets and I use one of them, plus Roof Nest has a down blanket. That thing is freaking awesome. That's my favorite blanket, especially for camping. So yeah, we made some dinner, hung around fire, and then went to bed. And this morning we just packed up, had some hot chocolate. I had a Pop-Tart. Elizabeth had some oatmeal, and we're just kind of chilling here for a little before we make a decision on what we're going to do today. But once we leave here, We're gonna go back out the trail. It is extremely pothole bumpy. Like, it's not washboard. We've been on some trails that are washboard. These are like crater potholes, and there's no like weaving in and around them. You end up having to hit them, and it's bumpy. It takes a minute to get up to where we're at. So, and we didn't even take all of the trail out. I don't anticipate doing all of it either, but we'll see where today's adventure takes us. Stick along for the ride. Enjoy today's video. These freaking potholes are huge and they suck. I know a video doesn't make it look bad at all, but they bounce you around really rough. Alright, so we came in here into the town of Breckenridge so Dennis and Steph could handle some business for their Jeep, and Elizabeth and I went and got some Starbucks, and now we're headed back to the Jeeps, Dennis and Steph, so we can see where we're gonna go next, what trails we're gonna go do next. Alright, so we got a new update. Dennis and Steph, they're headed to the UPS store so they can get a notary for their stuff, all business stuff, yada yada, mumbo jumbo, nobody cares about. So they're running to UPS to get all that taken care of. In the meantime, we're gonna go walk around town, check out some of the shops, see what they're like here in the summer, fall, whatever, compared to when we were here in January. We are headed up the Peak 10 Breck trail, which we're currently actually going right underneath the ski lift, the Beaver Super Chair ski lift, which is quite weird for us. And we ski this, but we've never driven it.
I assume this way because that's blocked.
Yep. It looks like it goes around the lift.
So weird.
This is definitely unique.
This is odd.
This is so cool. Well, the trail got a little bit more rutted out and rocky, and it was raining pretty good. It started hailing a little bit. Dennis didn't feel super comfortable doing it in the rental, but they're at a good point with a switchback. I had a little area to turn around, so they're sitting back there. They told us to go on. We got another 2.5 miles up this hill, up this mountain, and I know I'm winded, but guess what? I'm out of shape, obviously, and I'm at 11,400. Let's see. Oh, 11,957 feet in elevation. Air stand up here. And I'm having to walk some of this trail because Elizabeth wasn't feeling super comfy on some of the little cliffs. So just walking some of it, making sure she feels comfortable. Don't turn away until I tell you. You're gonna make the turn. Keep coming. Keep coming. Great job. Crazy. We're at 13,368 feet. Just came all the way up all that. It's kind of hard to see, but the trail kind of disappears over that ridge there. You can see a lodge there, or top of one of the lifts. Over there is a Copper Mountain. That's freaking wild, man. Well, Elizabeth's a nervous wreck. These switchbacks got her all worked up, but this is absolutely beautiful. You can see Town. I'll zoom in there. And then that would be the Dillon Reservoir, Dillon, Silverthorne, and Frisco. The mountains that you see over there that are cut out, that's all Keystone Mountain. If I'm not mistaken, we came kind of through here. Glorious Pass, I think I can see that. I don't know if this wind is too much for you guys to hear or not, but wow, this is wild. I'm gonna walk in here real quick, see what's going on here. Everything is gets just brutally beat up here. Gonna walk up here for a second. See what this looks like. I can hear all the little marmots. I just don't see them. We hopped in the Jeep to escape the insane winds and headed back down the mountain towards Dennis and Steph. After we finished the trail and made it back to the pavement, we made a stop over at Whiskey Star Smokehouse for a bite to eat. Afterwards, we headed over to the Illinois Creek Trailhead for our next adventure.
One more?
Yep.
All right, next adventure. We just had a late lunch, whatever you want to call it. Now we are headed to, how do you say it?
Trollogen. We're gonna go see a wooden guy.
Yeah, this guy. If you're curious, you thought you may have seen this before. Elizabeth and I have been here before. There's a guy that takes like local recycled wood. I'll give you the story here in a minute, the actual story, but he takes recycled wood and then he makes cool sculptures out of them. There's a guy in Michigan, or same guy, did another one of these in Michigan, and we've yet to see it. So we're hoping that at some point we can go visit number 2 of his trolls.
This is cool. Wow. Oh wow, he got his hand wrapped around the tree. That is
We do
so
get a
neat.
big picture of all of us. It's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. What's the sign?
Look.
What'd you do?
Sit down.
Oh, wow. Pulled the camera up and that's what I saw.
After leaving the troll, we headed back up the mountain in search of a campsite for the night. We took the nearby Crystal Road / Spruce Creek Road trail because Onyx Off-Road had it listed as a 1-hour, 3-rated green trail with campsites. However, after getting to the end of the trail at Lower Crystal Lake, there were only a couple of campsites along the way that were alright, but nothing to write home about. We were running out of daylight and decided to camp near the lake at the end of the trail at 12,000 feet in elevation. This was such a gorgeous spot. The cool part about this was just above us was the mountain ridge that we drove over with our Gladiator to the very top earlier that day. We thought the bowl we were in with the mountains surrounding us would give us some protection, which ended up being very wrong. We weren't at camp for 15 minutes before everyone was bitterly cold, even with a campfire. You have to remember we weren't packed for the Colorado mountain cold this time of year. We were expecting Moab with highs in the 80s or 90s and lows in the 50s and 60s. Elizabeth and I started out in the rooftop tent, and Dennis and Steph slept inside their Jeeps in the seat. After we all headed to sleep, a short time later we experienced several gusts of intense wind, which led us to stowing away the tent and sleeping inside the Jeep also. It was a rough night with temps falling into the low 30s, but a memorable part of the trip, which ends episode 4. I hope you all enjoyed this video and have been enjoying this series. If so, please be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can continue following along with this adventure and future ones as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.